Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. A few weeks ago, I filmed a little day in my life when we went to the drive-in, and a few of you seemed to like that, so I thought I would film another one. So that's what I did. On this particular day, we went out during the day and did some things, and then we went out in the evening. So during the day, we went and visited some historic gardens and also some historic sites from the 1600s that are pretty local to us. And then, which was cool. We had both been there before, but it was just a fun thing to do. John was on vacation, so I thought we'd do something. And then in the evening, we went to see a movie at this 100-year-old theater. It was actually the new Elvis movie. So I don't know, I just thought this was kind of like a fun little vintagey kind of day. So keep watching if you would like to view. So usually one day on the weekend, we make like a less healthy breakfast, I guess is the way to put it. I don't know. We try to eat pretty healthy, but on this particular day, since we were going to be doing a ton of walking, I kind of wanted a little bit of a hearty breakfast. So I was making us omelets with this just egg product since we're plant-based. And I cut up some onion and peppers, and then I cut up one of these sausages to put inside as well. And then we're just using some like plant-based cheddar to put in them. I really enjoy this product. I think that it is very close to resembling egg, and it definitely makes the best omelets in my opinion. I've tried a lot of things. And then I'm just toasting up some sourdough in our vintage toaster oven, and it was a lovely breakfast to have. It kept us quite full until we ate our lunch, so it was really nice because we did do a lot of walking this day. So in the morning, the first thing we did was we went and visited this historic garden site, which I think is so cool, and I can't believe there's something like this cool that is not too far from us. We'd never been there before actually, so it was a really cool experience, and I guess it's year-round, and you know, plant life varies year-round, so I actually want to go back during a different season. So they did have a little gift shop, which we looked around a little bit. I don't know, I guess it's kind of like mostly just the usual things, but they did have these really cool things, which I left in the video to show you, but they're like these really detailed paintings done on shells. This one is done like on the inside of a shell. It's really cool, but because the light will shine through the shells, I don't know, it just looks really cool. There's the next one I'm going to show you like more up close was my favorite. I just think it's really cool the way that the sun shines through it. I think it'd be super, super pretty. Obviously everything in this gift shop was really expensive because it's like handmade, which is to be expected, but it was pretty cool. And just the whole experience of walking through these gardens, I would say it probably took us maybe like an hour to an hour and a half. It's actually quite large. They have it all set up in like different types of gardens, I guess. So you kind of just walk through and experience, you know, different, like they had a Victorian section. I think this one was the innovative. I definitely didn't keep in all the footage I took, but I did have a hard time cutting out footage because it was so cool. So in addition to plants, they had a lot of these neat little sculptures as well. And honestly, walking through these gardens made me feel like Alice in Wonderland in so many parts of it. Now, unfortunately, we have had a pretty dry season, I would say. I feel like we haven't had much rain, so things probably weren't in like as bloom as maybe they could be. There were certain parts that were pretty barren, which is unfortunate. They have this thing called a rose maze, but there wasn't really many roses at all, so probably because of having a dry season. So I mean, it wasn't really much of a maze because you could kind of see through, but I could see how that would be super cool. I thought this sculpture was pretty cool as well. There was a lot of really cool like views as well, in kind of more like open areas, like going across this bridge, which was really cool. It was definitely a lot of walking though. There was like a big walk you could do, which we did do, but I thought this sign was really cute and funny. We didn't see any deer, but out on the walk you got like because it was very open, you got a really good look at all of the kind of surrounding area. They definitely had a lot of cool, like kind of denser parts as well that were neat. And there were a few different like water, like almost like waterfall trickling down areas, and some ponds with some lily pads and things that I believe I did leave in because they were just so beautiful. Like I said, it was really hard for me to cut footage, but if I would have left it all in, it would probably have been like over an hour long, but it was just so beautiful. And I felt so, I think I said I felt like Alice in Wonderland walking through it, especially through the denser parts. But I felt so like peaceful and calm and relaxed just walking through and hearing like the water. I don't know, it was a whole, like, it was a great way to start the day. They had this huge trap for these bugs, and I thought the sign was funny just because it said, "Do not disturb the trap." Well, the trap was very high in the air, at least probably 30, if not more feet up, so I don't know how anybody would be disturbing it. I guess maybe you could throw a rock at it or something, but it was like a very intense, like if you've ever seen, you know, like fly strips that you can use, it was like this jumbo version of that. It looked like it had captured quite a few bugs though, so I guess it's working. This was probably the coolest thing I think in the whole entire garden, was this really big water feature. It was like so peaceful and relaxing. It made me want to sit down and just start meditating. I didn't, but it would be kind of awkward. But I just thought it was so cool. I love water features. It's like my goal to build one in our backyard somehow. I just think they're awesome. It's so relaxing and calming. I wished that we had some coins to throw in, but we didn't have any with us. But next time I'm gonna bring some. So this was actually my favorite garden. I believe this was the Victorian style gardens. They had all these really neat, like shaped, I guess bushes, trees. I feel like maybe bushes. I don't know. I just think it's so cool when people do that in their garden. There's like one of our neighbors has like a really well, like, I was going to say sculpted, but I don't think that's the right word. A very like well manicured lawn, but then also like some really cool, like he cut out shapes out of his lawn and put plants and stuff, and he has all these rocks. It's so beautiful to look at. One day we were out for a walk and we were walking by as he was doing some of it. We're like, we love your lawn. But yeah, this was definitely my favorite. It just looked so cool and everything was so like distinct, I don't know, like shaped and things like that. It was just neat. As we were approaching here, we noticed a monarch butterfly, which we thought was super cool. So I zoomed the footage in to see it, but it started flying away and it almost hit me. And so I was mildly freaked out, but I kind of slowed the footage down so you could kind of capture it. But at the time it was like, it happened very, very fast. We were like, whoa. I loved this whole area in particular within the Victorian part because there was just so many different flowers and things. And then in the very middle, it was like a big round circle path with different paths into the middle. And in the middle was this really large, like rounded tree / bush, whatever. I don't know, it was just really cool looking. It makes me want to have like some epic garden in my backyard, but I don't have that big of a backyard, and I want to eventually be able to grow food back there. So, but it's definitely really cool. I don't know, doesn't this just look really cool? I think it does, and it's like right in the very middle, so there's, I think, 4 paths. I really liked this part too. It was kind of like a wall of, I guess, like shrubs maybe, but they made it really flat, like a wall, and then it just went into this kind of bridge, which I think actually might have like used to be train tracks potentially, but I could be wrong about that. I'm not sure exactly when these gardens were built, but I think it was sometime in the 80s. And I also think sometime in the 80s is when the train stopped running here where we live. So it just looks very cool. Also very kind of Victorian as well, I think. Anyway, this is it for the gardens. Trust me when I say there was probably triple the amount of footage. So then immediately after we did the gardens, we went to this historic site from the 1600s when the area was like first settled, I believe. I want to say it was early 1600s, but I'm not certain about that. Anyway, it's called Fort Anne. I've actually been here before a bunch of times. The inside has kind of like a little museum-y part, which was definitely upgraded since I had been there last. They have like touch screen kind of things, which we thought was pretty cool. We didn't really spend too much time in there, and I did film a little bit, but I don't think I'm leaving any of it in. But one cool thing that they had in there, they just had a lot of artifacts, and I don't know, I didn't want to make the video like too boring. But one thing was like shoes. Apparently shoes were not like they wasn't like left or right. It was just like a straight shoe, which I thought was interesting. So I just left that part in. So in case you're unfamiliar, we did just buy like one of my childhood homes. So I did live in this area when I was a child. So I've been to these places when I was a child, but then also as an adult. But this place in particular, I found a photo of me and my mom and my brother like in this same exact spot, which I thought was neat. So I thought I would pop it in. I actually went to the theater here as well as a child. We saw Land Before Time when it was new in theater. So it's really neat to be living back here as an adult, because I didn't spend any time here for like a really long time. But yeah, it's cool to have stuff like that. It's such a beautiful spot here too. It just, we live in such a beautiful, beautiful province. I'm so thankful every day that we're here. They had these massive stairs. My legs were so sore by the time I got to the top. But it was a significant shortcut, so I was like, oh, I'll just do it. I wasn't looking forward to it though. And then this building here is actually, I believe, used to store gunpowder, or like, I don't know if it's the same thing, like to put in cannons, but at first we were like, oh, we see these barrels, and somebody actually had wrote rum on one of them, so we were thinking that it was like alcohol. But then when we exited the building and actually read the sign, it said magazine powder, so I think that's essentially what it is used for, because this whole site I think was basically used to like defend the area, I guess. I'm so like knowledgeable about this, clearly. Anyway, right on the site, they have like picnic tables and stuff. We actually had a picnic here when I was a kid. So we had brought things with us to have a picnic, not intending to have one here necessarily, but once we were there and we saw it, we were like, oh, let's just have a picnic here. So we had been walking around for several hours at this point. So I just made us a sandwich with some plant-based turkey and cheese, and then we just have some carrots and hummus, nothing too serious. And then this is just like what we drink instead of soda. It's like just made with stevia instead of sugar. And then it had been John's birthday that week, so we brought 2 pieces of cake with us. It was like the last pieces. We saw a payphone too, which I haven't seen a payphone in probably 10 or 15 years. So I just thought I would film it because it was like a blast from the past. Like, wow, they still have payphones places? Apparently. I don't know if it works or not, but I'm assuming if it's still there, it did. So the next place we visited was another historic site that was not in the same area. This is where like they actually used to live though. I've been here a bunch of times. John and I actually came here with my mom when she was visiting about 15 years or so ago. So that was actually the last time that we had been here. But I find this place to be quite cool. So I think, like I said, I think it was early 1600s, but it's this whole like contained little village, I guess you could say, because they have a bunch of different like things in there. Like they lived there in the, I think, upper parts is where they like slept and had their kind of living quarters, but they sort of all, I guess it was more like community because they would all eat together in the same place. It was like a big large dining room, but then you did have, I think one place was like you know, like the bakery, and one was like filled with spice shops and different, I don't know, I'm not doing a very good job of explaining this, I don't think, but I didn't actually film like that much here. First of all, since they didn't have power at the time, a lot of it is kind of dark. But I don't really know like if you're supposed to film this stuff. Like they didn't say not to film it, but it's weird nowadays because everyone just carries around a camera and their phone. So I don't know. I sort of kept it to like a minimum-ish amount that I filmed, but it is a pretty cool spot that I did want to share some of. One of my favorite things about the whole place though is these old like stone fireplaces, and just thinking that they've been there since the 1600s is just a cool thing to think about. Now obviously I think they would have had to like replace the wood in the structures because it's like right by the water, so I think, you know, it would deteriorate, but I don't know though, maybe I'm wrong, but they have really cool doors as well, which I thought were neat. This was obviously like, I think this would have been like a blacksmith shop sort of deal. I don't know. That's what it looks like anyway. Sometimes they have like a guide, or maybe you need to ask who will like come around, and since we hadn't been here in like, I don't know, 15 years, we weren't exactly sure, but I believe that's what this seems to resemble. And then this room here, I believe, is like the kitchen, where they would prepare the food. And then you can go down a little, like into the next room, like from here without going outside. And I think that it had another like big fireplace oveny stove thing. I think that was like the bakery area, which I didn't film because there was a bunch of people there and I didn't want to be like invasive and be like, don't mind if I just film you as well. And then you go into the dining room, which I did film because I think that looked really cool. The dining room is definitely one of my favorite spots as well. It just looks really neat, and they have a really big fireplace in here, and I think it actually might even say the year above the fireplace, if I'm remembering correctly, but I'm not remembering the year like offhand. But this huge thing, I guess you could put soup in there. Yeah, 1605. So that's pretty cool. I don't know. It's really like neat to think about how people used to live, you know, hundreds of years ago. And then I guess this would have been some type of like woodworking shop slash area. They have these little wooden shoes. The last time that we were here, or actually any of the times I've been here, I always remember them having the shoes upstairs by the beds, but today they were down here. I guess these would be like wooden clogs. They look like clogs anyway. But it's kind of neat. They've obviously like set this up as like a reenactment, but it's still kind of neat to look at. And they did have, there was a guy there who was dressed up, but it was really busy, so we didn't bother him or anything. He was like showing other people around and talking to other people, but this room was kind of cool too. It had like a whole bunch of spices in it, which I thought was interesting and neat. They're even just like loose kind of spices and herbs like in drawers. Obviously, we're like reenacted. They're not actually from 1600. I really love the well in the very like town center as well. I think it's cool. They do have a grate as like a protective measure, which wouldn't have been there. Again, I was wishing that we had some coins that we could have tossed in, but we did not. And then just the outside, you can kind of see like they had these kind of little areas that were like off of the main square that had cannons and stuff for shooting, I guess. It's right by the water again for like protection. So then after that, we went home for a little while, and then it was time to go to the movies. So this is the theater that is over, like, I guess it's 100 years old. Last year they had a classic film festival there, and it was to celebrate 100 years. So I think it had closed down in the 70s, and then it had a renovation in the 80s sometime. I really like this town because they have, I think they have a couple of just rainbow sidewalks. It's really cool, but I think sometime in the 80s it reopened and whatever, but it definitely looks old inside. And then in behind the theater, this is kind of what you're looking at. It's just so beautiful. They have like a boardwalk that you can walk through the back. This is a different day that I took that footage. But like I said, we were here to see Elvis. Now, some of you may know I'm not actually a big fan of Elvis at all. I don't even know why I said big fan. I'm not really a fan at all. But I am a big fan of Baz Luhrmann films, and this is who made this film. If you're unfamiliar, he made the Romeo and Juliet remake in the 90s and Moulin Rouge. He also did The Great Gatsby. I just love his style of filmmaking, so I was so excited to see it when I knew that he had made the film. And for some ultimate small town vibes, we just have a cat hanging outside the theater that we were petting before we went in. Inside the theater, it was actually really busy, so I wasn't able to film as much as I hoped, but they have this huge, you know, old style film reel projector, I guess is what it would be called. I don't know if this is like the original to the theater or not, because obviously they would use digital now, but it's really cool, and they have a bunch of posters up on the wall. They have some like classic film posters as well, but I wasn't able to film them because there was people, you know, it was very, very busy for this movie. It was actually the busiest I've seen it. We've been quite a few times, but all of the, you know, regulations are now relaxed as well. So I didn't notice this stuff before the last time we were there, but they have like all these different like merchandise too that you could buy. They do have like a small canteen, which is super reasonably priced, and the ladies who are usually working there are so nice. I do believe that the entire staff is just volunteers, which is really cool. We do get popcorn from this theater because they use coconut oil and they don't put butter on their popcorn. They were like really helpful the first time we went. They also sell it in like a normal size portion. It's just like the one size that you can get, so that's nice instead of getting a huge jumbo thing. And then we just brought these chocolate bars with us because we're plant-based. So one is white chocolate, which I love. They actually have like a health food store in the same town that sells these, and John got this one that's like kind of replicating milk chocolate, but white chocolate is like one of my favorite things, and I miss having it, so I was happy to find this. So I was able to film like a tiny bit inside before it got too busy, but you can see that's like very old style chairs. To be honest, they're not the most comfortable, but I'm used to, you know, modern theater chairs. But it's really cool. I really love the ceiling in this place too. They have these lights with these really ornate wood around them, and one of the cutest things I think about this theater experience is the staff. After everyone's like in and been seated, they come and they sit in these like little just wooden kitchen chairs there so that they can watch the movie too, and I just think it's so cute. And this particular night, every single seat was filled. They actually had like staff trying to help people like find their seats because it was so full, but it was a really good day, and we really loved the movie. I think that Austin did an amazing job. I really hope that he gets an Oscar for it because he definitely deserves it. I'm also not the biggest fan of biopics on like old stars specifically. Like I can't watch the Judy film even though people say it's amazing. I just feel weird when the family like isn't supportive of it. I just think about how awkward and weird it would be. I don't know, so I just can't bring myself to watch it, but I was really happy to know that Elvis's family is like really supportive of the film, which is just, it's always just nice to hear that, I guess. Anyway, I am gonna stop rambling now. Anyway, it was a lovely day. Enjoyed the movie. You could definitely tell it was a Baz film, and it did not disappoint. So anyway, I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you again soon.